Because I didn't expect her to step out. Right. And she goes, well, it's not, but after.
We have the summary on 7, yeah.
And I tell my daughter and my granddaughter, I said, I'm glad my grandkids are not here.
Is that a better place to go? We have a big
Which was your James?
yeah. Oh, he's now the HR director.
I don't know. He would go out there and stand
Yes.
by our house.
Yes. I mean, I'm just.
One day they were, and he was standing like that, and the teacher was yelling for him to stop it, right? He looked over here, there was, he was right out the street, right, straight out, and almost got hit by a car. And did he move? Oh, he looked to the right.
Yeah, he's over the district. Now there's a new principal. Her name is Miller.
You're not gonna run that school out here. And then my grandkids said, they took the thing. Went to orientation in Wisconsin, it was cute. They, right from kindergarten on, the kids, about maybe like that. And Steph goes, Grandma, what do you want him to learn? I said, Spanish. And, so he was in Spanish. Until he came back here, and then Stephanie says, Grandma, call such a school, we're trying to work it. Always didn't have it. They didn't have kindergarten. Back in the days.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You would remain standing. Invocation by Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mary King Share.
Our Father in heaven, we come to Thee at the beginning of this city council meeting, and we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to be here this evening. We're grateful for those in our city who have chosen to serve in their various capacities, and pray that Thy Spirit will be with them, that they will be mindful of the decisions that they make as a group and individually that affect our city and the well-being of our city. We're grateful that we can live here, and we're grateful for the blessings of this sweet community. We pray that Thy Spirit will be with us always, and we say this humbly in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Roll call.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Councilmember Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Here.
Mayor Bildering.
Here.
All present.
No closed session announcements. Change to agenda. Besides our jumping through when people show up on their presentations. Besides that, City Manager, no changes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going onto our website and clicking on Meeting Agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. And we will start off with a very nice one. Miss Elisabeth Marshall. Before I read this, it's a lot, all right? I want to shake your hand now. What you're about to do, not just for yourself and your family, but for your country, is remarkable. And you're a fine representative of our community, too. So here we go. You ready? It's okay. You can be a Marine officer, too, when you're there. All right. Certificate of recognition presented to Elisabeth Marshall for your acceptance into a Naval Academy. You would demonstrate exceptional work, unwavering dedication, and remarkable commitment. The City of 29 Palms is proud of your great accomplishments. Signed by me. This is your time.
give you guys the... No, guys, I got the regular old report. I'm still your city council representative. I haven't graduated yet. All right, first and foremost, we would like to welcome the new city manager. We're very excited for this chapter of the city with you. Recently, our school held an every 15 minutes demonstration. These demonstrations are held to explain the impact that drunk driving can have on the community. The students who participated in the demonstration spent the night at a hotel with no devices, away from their friends and family, to simulate what losing that person feels like. These students came back the next day for an assembly, and the juniors and seniors of the school listened to speeches from both those parents whose children participated in the accident and the people who organized the demonstrations. This year, the junior class hosted prom on May 4th with a walk in the garden theme. There were many beautiful decorations, flowers, and well-dressed students. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. To honor all of those special teachers that dedicate their lives to building the next generation, posters were made by ASB students for each teacher, and they were posted on their doors that highlighted their specific interests. Next week will be Classified Appreciation, where we will do the same thing for all classified staff, which includes any working members of our school community that aren't teachers. Seniors have grad night coming up on the 31st. We're going to Universal Studios. Graduation is on the 5th at 7:30 p.m. The stadium will open at 6 p.m., and the bleachers will be open to anyone wishing to watch graduation. We would like to thank the Public Works Department for closing Mesquite Springs and Sunny Slope so that graduation goes undisturbed by traffic. Our school was just awarded the highest accreditation you can receive from the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, which means for the next 6 years, we will go without a review and only have to report once in 3 years. For spring sports, track hosted league finals at the brand new stadium where all 8 teams in the league brought their strongest competitors. Our team finished the season with multiple top finishers in the league and had 7 CIF qualifiers. Softball finished 6th in league with 6 wins. Baseball finished 7th in league with 3 wins. Golf had 3 team members to place top 10 in DVL, with EJ taking 2nd and qualifying for CIF. Boys tennis ended the season by tying for 5th in league with DHS. And swim, despite their small team, after a season of hard work at the new pool with all members, they were able to go to league finals. Our unified sports team performed very well at both their track and field event and their dodgeball event, and they are hoping to host more events at our school next year. Lastly, I would like to thank the city for this wonderful opportunity. City Council representative was a delightful position to hold and a very valuable position to the school. Not only have I learned to prepare reports and work collaboratively with my peers to provide all of the information that you receive, but I have learned to work with government institutions beyond just my words. Throughout high school, I have had the opportunity to work with the city for trash collection events to beautify our city, on community events like the health fair to expand community outreach, and with 29 Palms Youth through Parks and Recreation coaching. The city has been instrumental to my development, and I'm so happy to have been involved all these years. Thank you.
Elizabeth. We gotta take a picture. You have it right? Next, a presentation of the Rotary Club for their participation in Cash for Trash and Recycle program.
The water guy. Liz Meyer, member of the Rotary Club, can you please tell us where you picked up all the trash and how many bags about?
Yeah, we picked up I don't know the name of the street. Hillcrest, I think. Yeah, Hillcrest. And we picked up a couple of big lots, and they had long been abandoned and needed a lot of pickup. So it was really great. And as a part of the crew that was out there picking up trash, there were there 4 former mayors, 5 former mayors, and accumulation of about 24 years between the five of us in terms of having been on the city council. So we were proud to be serving 29 continually after our other years of being on the council.
Thank you. You're awfully grabby for that money. Okay. Liz, on behalf of Burtech, who has a check there for you, and the city of 29 Palms as well, we thank you very much for your continued support of the city and making 29 Palms beautiful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know. Next is San Bernardino County Fire update.
Good evening. I want to do, I think she's pulling it up. I got a quick PowerPoint for you guys. The one that spent a little time. I didn't realize it was such a busy night, so I wanted to give a little update. It's been a few months getting settled in for me with the new city manager. Welcome. I'm new as well. So I just want to give a quick update, a little bit about County Fire, and then I was going to just give our call stats for the month of April, and then answer any questions if anyone has any. County Fire, I'm going to just go over a little bit of our operations, some of our staffing stuff. We've had just some major staffing shortages over the last few years after COVID. Ran into almost 100 vacancies within our organization, and we put in a pretty aggressive staffing plan to try to fill those gaps. So I'll go over that a little bit. A lot of recent promotions. I'm one of them, and then just your call stats for the 29 Palms engine, where they're going, and you know, they respond to the surrounding areas as well as just in 29 Palms. So Division 1 is our down in the West Valley. We have 5 divisions that are operations. West Valley, and includes Fontana, Upland, that area. Division 2 is our busiest area, is San Bernardino, Grand Terrace, and the unincorporated areas around there. Division 3 is our mountains, up in Arrowhead, Crest Forest, and they come down into the, they cover over on the Angeles Oak side as well. And Division 4 is us, Yucca Valley, 29 Palms, Needles, all the way, that whole border out there is what I cover as the assistant chief with battalion chiefs and our 6 companies that we have for that. Division 5 is our North Desert, which is the Hesperia, Adelano, and unincorporated areas all the way across to the state line, across the 15 freeway as well. And then some of our divisions that we have the fire marshal, which is our fire prevention investigation, which we utilize those resources as well out here. Our wildland camp, huge resource for us out in this area. When we get those fires, to get those guys out here, and they help out, and they free up our engines is what they do. They get our engines back in the stations, running the calls, and so those guys are a huge asset to the organization. Our training division, they do what it says. They do our training for all our guys. EMS division, obviously EMS is a big part of the fire department, and so it has its own division with nurses, and they provide all pre-hospital training and oversight for our medical aides. Then our warehouse, which is a large logistical support for the organization. So as I stated, we had a pretty aggressive staffing plan. We had about 100 vacancies. We put a small team together. I was part of it, but I'll give you just the nuts and bolts of it. Right off the bat, we have promotions. We had, you know, Chief Tuttle retired, and he was filling 2 spots. He was filling the assistant chief out here, and he was the deputy chief of our operations. So he was pretty busy. He retired. We filled that permanently with the deputy chief. We promoted 3 assistant chiefs, myself, 1 to the mountain division, and 1 to, I'm drawing a blank, to the North Desert. No. Okay. Sorry about that. And then 1 new division chief, which is going to oversee some of our fire corps programs. We're starting to get back into some volunteer stuff, and so we have so many outlining areas, and then people that also want to help. We used to have a paid call program, if you guys kind of remember those terms. That's gone away because people just aren't interested. But we still have a lot of people out there that are interested in helping organization, maybe not on the emergency side, but there's a lot of logistical help. So we put a division chief in charge of just that, and to oversee, the hiring and a process. We're hoping it kind of works, so we think there's a lot of people out there that are interested in that. As for battalion chiefs, I'm short out here. So we just finished our testing today with our battalion chiefs, and we should be getting, I believe we'll be getting about 8 to 10, but we should be getting 2 brand new battalion chiefs out here. Battalion chiefs are the first line supervisor for the captains on the engines. So the battalion chiefs work shift work as well. There will be 3 of them out here, and there's someone on duty 24 hours a day for the battalion chiefs. So I go home at night. They're the frontline supervisor after the captain when there's issues or anything. So we'll get 2 new ones out here. I'm going to try to pick some good ones for us, but it was a pretty good group. Once I get them, I'll get them out here to introduce you guys. So if they're on incidents or on any type of pub ed events, you know who they are and can communicate with them comfortably. And then we got a whole slew of captain engineer promotions. About 30 captains, 30 engineers, all going. This is all happening right now and over the course of the last year. 2 towers. We just graduated one of 44 cadets, some EMTs, some mostly paramedics, and they spread out through the county. We also we have a tower going on right now. We call the towers as our fire academy. We put on our own, and it's 10 to 15 weeks, 16 weeks, and we have currently have one right now with 35 in that, and we're recruiting for another one. So we're trying to stay ahead of. We got behind, and it hurt. Our guys were working 7, 8, 9 days in a row. And that's 24-hour shifts. We weren't allowing to go home because we have to keep fire engines going. So we were in rough shape. Over the last year, we've completed all these milestones, and we're in a lot better shape today. I'd love to say this filled the gap of our vacancies, but it really didn't. We still have them. We have a lot of retirements going, and it's just not as desirable as a job as it once was. It's hard, and I think that's in all jobs. So our statistics. This is pretty much what I'm kind of thinking with the transfer got a little, or when I emailed it, maybe it didn't come out clear. But real quick, the dumpster fires, motorhome fires, refuge fires, vegetation fires. The big ones, obviously, we're getting into vegetation season. Those numbers are going to go up. Hopefully, that's we can keep them small. That's the goal. Structure fires. Those were 4, not 10. So those numbers just became unaligned. I know there's 4 structure fires this engine came to for the month of April. Medical aids were 259. And then I think we had about 15 traffic collisions, a couple that required helicopters, and I think 1 water salvage. So just a variety of calls that engine responds to within the area right here in 29 Palms. I believe 2 of those fires are responding into the Joshua Tree area to assist those companies. When that happens, we move in a cover engine. So anytime this engine does leave for an extended amount of time, so you guys are aware, I'll move in, or the battalion chief will move in. We'll move in someone from Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree, or we'll utilize the Marine base to make sure we have coverage within this area. That's pretty much it. Answer any questions and get moving on so you guys can get with your busy night.
I got a couple of questions.
Okay, sorry.
As far as in the academy or recruiting for the academy, did you guys change the requirements?
We did a little bit. So, preferably we like someone that's have some sort of fire education, paramedic or EMT. But the paramedics, so we reduced and said you didn't need any fire experience because we're going to give you all that training in our tower and then get you the state certification. So we had to that was about a couple of years ago that we were able to get qualified by the state. There's a mandatory of hours and certain instructors. So we got that part done. Then the next big step is the paramedic one. I wish I had the number for you, but the numbers have drastically reduced on the amount of paramedics that are getting pumped out of the colleges every month or even every year. So we were having a hard time getting paramedics. So then we reduced and said, we'll take EMT, and we're sending them and paying them to go to paramedic school. So the way we were able to fill those gaps is by reducing some of those qualifications and then giving them the training. It is a big expense, but we're looking at it as a career-long investment with these individuals. Once we get our hooks in them a little bit, we feel like by paying them to go to school, they receive a salary, we cover their shifts, they just have to go to school. We feel like they're now, going to stay with us and maybe not leave to a different department.
And how does that affect attrition?
Which part?
Like when they're in school, as far as not making it.
So the last couple of years that we've been sending guys to paramedic school, and this last year was the most aggressive approach, sending 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at a time. It's actually, we've been pretty successful. If they don't make it in school, they come back, we give them a little more time, they get another shot at going. And at a certain point, and I want to say the numbers are 1 or 2 that maybe just couldn't get there. But out of the big numbers, most of them are making it, or if not, we come back, we get them a little more experience on the floor, and then get them back in school.
And that's in the tower as well, when they go through the tower?
The towers have a pretty good, so the one that said 44, I believe, I think we started with 49, and that's not bad. Some of it's physically they, either injuries. If they're injured, we get them healthy again and let them try to continue. And then sometimes it's just, academically they can't complete it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you still have the cadets fire force?
We do have the program. It's been ever since COVID, it never really got reestablished. One of my goals with the new battalion chiefs is to get back into the schools and try to, get out there. And it's one of the things they started doing recently with some of our other areas is we went electronic, right? With scanning a code so you can just get to an application and apply instead of filling out a hard application. So I'm hoping that might get some interest out here and make it a little easier. But yes, we still have the program countywide. I believe out here it's just been not up and running since COVID.
It hasn't set up and running yet?
No, but
I have a grandson that wants to get involved in it.
we will be shortly. But then, if he stops by the fire station, and, periodically, and we can get him that information and get it going. But it will be, yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, number 4, proclamation recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month. City of 20 Palms Proclamation, Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas each May, we raise awareness about the importance of mental health and the impact for the well-being of all Americans, including children, adults, families, and communities across our nation. We also give thanks to the dedicated mental health providers whose service and support improve the lives of so many Americans. We stand in solidarity with those experiencing mental health conditions, renewing our commitment to providing them with the support they need and deserve. And whereas last year, the Surgeon General released an advisory of protecting youth mental health that underscored the growing harms of digital technologies, especially social media, on the mental health of our youth. It is the time of straightening privacy protections, ban targeting advertising to our children, and demand that technology companies stop collecting our children's personal data. We must also continue to research the impact of social media on the mental health of our children, expanding services in school to promote their well-being and to set them up for success so they can thrive as adults. And whereas each of us have the vital role of supporting our fellow Americans living with mental health conditions, learn the warning signs of emotional distress and suicide, engage affected loved ones in supportive dialogue, fight the prejudice and negative attitudes that discourage those in need from seeking mental health support. Above all, let's collectively ensure that all the children and adults experiencing mental health challenges are treated with the compassion, respect, and understanding they deserve. Now, therefore, to be resolved that the City Council of City of 29 Palms does hereby proclaim May 2024 as National Mental Health Awareness Month and encourages all citizens to take action in helping and strengthening the mental health of our communities and our nation, dated the 14th day of May 2024. Okay. Go to the next one. Proclamation recognizes May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific. Nope. Oh, tourism, huh? We're skipping down. Sorry, excuse me. Proclamation recognizing California Tourism Month. Leanne's here? Okay. City of 20 Palms Proclamation California Tourism Month. Whereas tourism plays a critical role in the City of 20 Palms and the state's economic prosperity, and whereas the robust travel industry provides significant economic benefits for the entire state, generating more than $150.4 billion in travel spending in 2023, and whereas spending by travelers benefits the state and local governments alike, generating $12.7 billion in tax revenue in 2023 to support essential public services and programs that benefit all Californians. And whereas in the city of 29 Palms, tourism generates $2.3 million in local tax revenue and supported over 300 jobs in 2023. And whereas the travel industry faces headwinds from inflation impending and full economic recovery, and whereas the California legislature in 2016 declared every May as California Tourism Month to celebrate the positive economic impact of tourism in California. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the City Council of the City of 29 Palms does hereby proclaim May 2024 as California Tourism Month in the City of 29 Palms, and urge the residents of 29 Palms to join me in recognizing the crucial role this industry plays in our city. Dated this 14 May 2024. You're sure? Yeah. This is your time. It's all positive. Okay. I guess we'll go this way.
One more, please. Thank you.
You get my smile back. Good. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move right to number 7 and come back to 5. Summary of Workshop 29 by the Public Arts Committee.
Hello, I'm Sarah Lyons. I'm on the Public Arts Advisory Committee. Just going to do a very brief update on what we did with our Creative Core grant. So we have a short video. You'll be able to see here that we were able to stage a series of arts workshops for our community. Like I said, we've got a short video, but you'll see we were able to engage with our local ecology through dance with Ryan Heffington. We inspired inclusive storytelling focused on our Black, Indigenous, POC, and LGBTQ+ communities with Douglas Blanc and T. Hamidi. We encouraged voter activism through music and singing with Carolyn Pennypacker Riggs and the High Desert Choir. And we also motivated emotional transformation through sculpture with Jay Knight. So we can go ahead and
more information. So this workshop is dance and ecology, and through dance we'll be learning about the local ecology.
I've seen a rosy boa before. Slither, then they pulse, pulse, pulse. Hit it, DJ. Slither, slither, slither. Now pulse, pulse, pulse. Rosy boa to this. Go. Ah, ah, ah. Now pulse, pulse, pulse. Like a rosy boa. And
why write? We're all storytellers, so I think that's what we have in common. And we also live somewhere around here in the high desert. What's your version of a desert story that includes your awesome various identities?
I often hear from some that the desert herself is the challenge. What she looks like, what she wears, her ulterior motive. Is she trying to kill us?
And scribbled outside the line, I am the vortex.
If you're vocalizing, then you can sing. Maybe you can't sing on tune perfectly. That's okay. It's still singing, and I think it feels good. 2, 3, 4.
So I invite everybody to just close their eyes and know that when I ring, you're invited to open your eyes again. If you get caught in any thoughts, try to bring yourself into the space of just listening. And then we are going to be pouring that into a screen with more paper pulp. Kind of get underneath, shake it all up, and then you pull it up. It doesn't have to be whatever I'm feeling on the moment.
Anybody can be touched. Death touches all. Life is a gift for all of us. It's like we're all telling our own story, but we all need to finish our part so that we can be able to present it as a whole. So it's like it makes it just makes you feel like your little puzzle piece is important.
Exciting. Thanks for doing it.
So yeah, I was emotional watching that because it was really cool. We were really fortunate to be able to do that. So Workshop 29 culminated in a celebratory event on April 27th at Freedom Plaza that featured performances, readings, and activations from our mentors, mentees, and our workshop attendees. There was a really good turnout. It was really fun, and it was really moving to see the impact that these workshops have had. And on the note of the impact, several of our Workshop 29 mentees are already moving forward with working on future arts programming that is going to serve and enrich our community. That includes a queer film festival, an upcoming craft exhibition, and a potential after-school arts program for our local teens, and hopefully a lot more to come from our mentees. So overall, we just feel that that grant really has helped us to empower a future generation of arts leaders here in 29 Palms. Thanks.
Thank you. Number 5, proclamation recognizing May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month 2024. City of 29 Palms proclamation, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month 2024, whereas during Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders Heritage Month, our nation recognizes the number of contributions, vibrant cultures, and the rich heritage of the Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, AA and NHPIS, as some of the fastest growing social and ethnic groups in the nation. AA and NHPI communities represent a multitude of ethnicities, languages, experiences, and enrich America with strengthening our union. And whereas AA and NHPIs have long played a central role in writing the American story, from serving our country in uniform, advocating for civil rights, starting new businesses, and winning Olympic medals. The contributions of the AA and NHPI community both touches the lives of Americans every day. AA and NHPI serve with distinction in the highest levels of federal, state, and local governments, and whereas this month we celebrate our fellow Americans from AA and NHPI communities and pay tribute to all they have done to help fulfill the promise of America for all. Together, let us recommit ourselves to building a country in which every American, regardless of who they are, where they come from, and what they look like, has an opportunity to thrive. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of 29 Palms does hereby proclaim May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We call upon all Americans to learn more about the history of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, and observe this month with appropriate programs and activities, dated this 14th day of May 2024. Mr. Ueda? That's all you want to do? He's Italian. Forget about it. That's why we waited for him. I wanted to say that line. All right, moving on. Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Council member Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I had the privilege of attending the rat convention, the Desert Rat Convention. It was really well attended, and it was a good event. Thank you.
Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the privilege of attending and doing the National Day of Prayer on May 2nd. We did three programs. We did a prayer in Veterans Park at 7 and noon, and then we did a final one at the Gospel Fellowship at 6:30. All the events were very well attended. I had a great time, just a blast. And then I also did a JPA meeting last Thursday. Last Thursday. And really just, talking about monitoring and watching a lot of bills that's dealing with trash and stuff like that. So that's what that was all about. And happy late Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Thank you. Councilmember Mintz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. End of April, I went to the MDAQ air quality meeting. The program to exchange gas-powered garden tools is now in effect. You go to their website, mdaqd.gov.cal.gov, and explain what you have to do. The nearest place you go is Lucerne Valley, unfortunately, but you take your gas-powered garden tool in there. And they also have a commercial one. The nearest place to exchange that one is in San Bernardino. And they also, if you have a car that still has to still run 20 years or more, they'll give you $1,000 to get it off the road. So you just go to their website, it explains all the details, and that's in full effect. Last year, this program, we gave out over $300,000 worth of battery-operated tools, basically what they do, they give you. So it's definitely a worthwhile program. And this Thursday, I'm going up to the mountains to the city, San Bernardino County conference. Every year, we'll meet with all the county officials, and it's usually a pretty good program. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Clee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I attended the San Bernardino County Transit Authority first Wednesday in May, and a lot of it had to do with the budget that's coming up, a pretty big budget for a big San Bernardino County Transit Authority. And I also attended the SCAG conference last week. Yeah, man, these weeks are going fast. SCAG is Southern California Association of Governments, and a lot of discussion was, of course, about housing in the county, and also about the Brightline fast track train that is going to be coming. If you want to make it to Vegas in a very short time, you can go down to Rancho Cucamonga, catch the train there, and be in Las Vegas in no time at all. But that's going to be taking a little while for it to be built. So that's what's going on right now. I want to congratulate Elisabeth Marshall. I know she is not here now, but I just want to go on record as saying congratulations, good luck. A big step she's taking, and it just seems with her personality and all, she's going to do wonders for us here in the United States. And also, happy birthday, everybody in 29 Palms is celebrating a birthday in the month of May. And also, happy Mother's Day late. Thanks.
Thank you. Once again, congratulations to Ms. Marshall. I know she will do great because that's all she does is great, and it seems like since she's a little kid, I've known her. I had meetings with the citizens, with some citizens and some staff. I stopped in on the Youth Council information meeting and just poked my head in to see how many showed up. We had a lot of interesting questions come from that meeting, so the staff has been taking care of that. And I got all the applications in, a lot, so good. It's good to see the youth being active, and there might be some problems with parents. They think they want to be on it more than the kids. Got a lot of questions from the parents, so they're very eager. And I also attended the National Day of Prayer in the morning. That was well received. Thank you, Spiritual Group, for doing that. And that is all I have. On to consent calendar. All members listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council and be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. Council, anybody? No.
Number 12, please.
Oh, 12. Anyone from the public? No. All right. A motion to close minus 12?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink?
Aye.
Mayor Bildering?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Number 12?
So Councilmember Scott, looks like you would like to have a little bit more detail on the repeal of Chapter 15.10 of the Municipal Code, the wastewater services. Was there a particular question that you'd had?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was, if you could just go over it a little bit about why we're repealing it.
You bet. So really, this was put into place in anticipation of establishing a wastewater treatment facility. And given the lack of state funding and the fact that it was first sufficient and then it became insufficient and then it just became a mountain that is going to be too great to overcome. So we're going to put that on hold for the time being. Given that, there's no reason to have this as an ordinance anymore. In fact, we're going to begin about a 5-year journey with the USGS to do a study to examine the status of our groundwater. And so really, by virtue of that, this is not necessary. So staff had suggested that we go ahead and repeal that.
Thank you very much.
I'll move that we, number 12.
Second. They probably didn't ask the first time. Yeah. Right. Anyone from the public? Didn't think so. Look at the eyes. Back up here.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink?
Aye.
Mayor Bilderrain?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, public hearing, number 14, Development Code Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is another one of the Development Code update and cleanup items that we've been processing within the last year. There's really no introduction of any new policy here. This is all pretty much cleanup language, including the deletion of references to a street improvement impact fee and replacing that with a development impact fee, which is going to be which was already studied last year, which we already have the fee study for. And we can go into more detail if the council would wish, but we recommend that you recognize that this is exempt from CEQA and approve the Development Code update.
Council questions? Wait for Scott. Oh, you go. I just want to get that. Yeah. Public. All smiles, all thumbs up. All right. Back up here. Motion.
Yes, it's staff did a great job going through this. I read through it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to kind of see from the old planning commission days, and yes, they did a great job. So, Mac, did you want to move it? You were.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll move the item.
Okay, I'll second then.
Councilmember Mintz?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink?
Aye.
Mayor Bilderrain?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Discussion and potential action items. Number 15, General Plan Status Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an annual report that we have to do that the Planning Commission reviews and forwards onto the City Council, giving the status of the general plan and the goals thereof. We had one general plan amendment that we completed last year, which was the equity and social justice element. Other than that, there were no other amendments to the general plan, and that's the report we're going to be sending on to the state. So we ask that the City Council approve the report.
Just want to make sure. Yeah. Public, any questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay. Back up here. It's just a receive and file, so we're good.
What'd you say?
It's just a receive and file. There's no.
Oh, I had a question though, because I know that, we had a future initiated item regarding the general plan. This is not a substitute to that, correct?
No.
So we still have that on the books? Okay, just clarifying.
No worries. All right. Number 16. This is probably what everyone's here for. 29 sculpture location.
Mr. Mayor, on advice of council, I have to accuse myself because this has to do with Project Phoenix.
Understood.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce the chair of the PAAC, Ms. Anna Stump. we have, who would like to give a brief, lead a brief discussion on the item?
I'm going to defer to Paul.
We've been through this a few times, so I think we'll run through it really quick this go. We are the PAAC, Public Arts Advisory Committee. We are looking to repair Chuck Haplinger's landmark 29 exclamation point sculpture, and also find some way where we could proceed with some ADA compliance and make it safe for everyone to enjoy. How can we achieve this goal? Restore and make accessible is one option, and restore the sculpture. If we were to restore and then create a parking lot around the existing location to make it ADA accessible is one option. The second being to restore and move to a separate location where it could be better enjoyed by everyone. We have had previous meetups with former Mayor Wright and other council members. We've had the sculpture surveyed. We've had estimates drawn up. We've gone through TBID, and now we are getting recommendation from City Council. This is the current state, really worse for wear. If you go down, it will tell you sort of scratches, abrasions, corrosions, fading, staining, surface grime, the works. It's got it. Thank you. If you want to keep going down. So the restoration estimates, if we wanted to keep it on Donnell Hill and restore the surface, $3,000 to $4,000, and then if we wanted to build a parking lot and make it ADA compliant, $92,000. If we wanted to move it to Freedom Plaza, we are looking at a $10,000 moving, and then the same cost for restoration. We'd also like some plaques a bit about Chuck himself, maybe include names of council members who are going to help the initiative, and PAC members, another option. Pros for Donnell Hill, it's already there, people love it. There is a nice view of trees in the sky. Cons, parking is difficult. It's currently dangerous. If you want to take a photo in front of the sign, it faces a large slope. There is no ADA access. It's also just sort of a awkward place to have to hook a turn real quick when you're coming down that hill. And as it stands currently with the graffiti on both sides and someone currently living on the hill, it's just not a very nice place to visit at the moment. This is a really quick mock-up, really, of how the parking lot may look. Could look, we could cut down on parking spaces. Of course, we wanted something smaller, but this is just an idea. As far as moving it, the pros, there is ample parking down at Freedom Plaza, especially with the National Park, the help center there. There's cars parked there constantly. There's people on the picnic benches there constantly. $15K was budgeted for art. Nothing has been put up there yet. Make it easy for photography. The cons is that it would need lighting. More interaction could mean that it could get tarnished again a bit faster. And background could be a bit chaotic, admittedly. So here it is facing north, facing west, trying to account a bit for the way that the light may hit it and whether or not it would be conducive to photographs. This is if we were to do sort of a mural behind it, which could be changed quarterly or even biannually. And then this is sort of reflective of what Chuck would like to see, removing sort of the rust aesthetic altogether and going over it with a nice powder coat. We hope that if we did this, increased local civic pride in the community, understanding the importance of arts and culture in the city, and also just increased visibility of the sculpture. It is really well built, and current condition put aside, I think it could be a really beautiful addition to Freedom Plaza. Thank you. And just separately, I hope everyone knows that we did not come to this decision arbitrarily. We weren't just wandering around Freedom Plaza and felt like the vibes are off. We feel like this is a really positive step in the right direction of curating an aesthetic for the city. And as the PAC continues to move forward, we would like to start pivoting more towards beautification and finding a unified sense of style within the city. And we hope that this is just the first step in a greater collaboration in that front. That's it. Any questions?
Questions up here?
No, I'm gonna wait.
No questions? Yeah, really?
I'm gonna wait too.
Public? Ms. Flanagan?
Good evening, council members. And as the former president of the PAAC, I want to say, what a great job you're doing. That was a wonderful, two wonderful presentations. We started working with Chuck a long time ago, what is it, almost 15 years, on that particular sculpture of 29. And for many years, we've tried also to get it cleaned up a little bit, and now that's on the table. I'm very happy for that. And art in public places, I think, is a really important concept, is that people are drawn in by art that's in cities, and 29 Palms is the best in the basin. People come here for this. I also noticed that people like to take pictures. You know, where have I been? You drive into the park and they pull over to where it says Joshua Tree National Park, and they take their picture and then they drive on. And I'm thinking about all of the planning that was done for Freedom Plaza and how much we talked about art being in Freedom Plaza and how at the moment it is not. It is essentially art empty. And it seems to me that if we put Chuck's sculpture there and fixed it up and made it so that people could easily take their photograph with it, then when it came to shopping in town, the car would already be parked and they would just walk to all the stores. They don't have to, you know, drive away or something. They're there to do what we need them to do as tourists, which is to use our city. So I think art in public places brings people in and helps them to stay engaged and to spend their money. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to mess his last name. Patrick Z? All right. Zurowski. Okay.
Zurowski.
Gotcha.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Patrick Zurowski. My wife runs the Desert General store in downtown 29 Palms. I run the 29 Palms Book Festival, and we're also, my wife and I, going to plan in our store an exhibition called Desert Memories, an exhibition of Chuck Kaplinger's work. Chuck Kamplinger, by the way, couldn't be here today because he's had a pacemaker put in him last week, but he's okay. Moving Chuck's sculpture to Freedom Plaza will help promote what I consider as 29 Palms' biggest asset, Freedom Plaza Community Center. The Freedom Plaza Community Center is a multifunctional area that is underused for the time being, that could help attract events, festivals, fairs, and also help attract overnight visitors, because next to the Freedom Plaza Community Center you have 1,000 hotel rooms, which is unique. Many downtown areas want to have a little events, a convention center, regardless of its size, next to hotel rooms. So I think that having Chuck's sculpture at Freedom Plaza will give not only visibility to Freedom Plaza and as it was said, bring more attention from visitors who will drive, park their cars and go shopping, but also will give this community center more visibility for business tourism, because it will attract more attention when you will try to bring in event organizers to 29 Palms for future events. So I think it is indeed important to move Chuck's sculpture from where it is now to Freedom Plaza. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss Mary Jane? Oh, she's hiding back there.
Sounds like I'm outnumbered here.
I would like you to consider not putting it at Freedom Plaza. And the reasons being, number one, you guys have, I believe, have already voted on restoring it. So I don't know why that keeps coming back up. The issue is moving it, not restoring it. Where it is now, it does not get maybe the amount of people, but it doesn't get people, children climbing all over it. So you're going to restore it. You're going to put it on Freedom Plaza, which I think makes it too crowded, and it's going to be exposed to abuse. I don't think that's a good idea. And also, if kids are crawling on it, you have the liability of them falling and hurting themselves. You don't see that up where it is, and they would fall into sand even if they did climb on it. But there's more adults that go up there to take their pictures, families take their pictures. It's also, you have the sign at the Elks Lodge when you enter 29 Palms. You come over Donnell Hill, there's the sign 29 exclamation, which is like you have arrived into 29 Palms. So it's kind of like bringing you into town, and then you go to Freedom Plaza or downtown shopping. So I would like for you to consider not moving it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else, public? Back up here.
I really appreciate everybody's comments. The Public Arts Advisory Committee's role is to advise the council as it pertains to art in public spaces. And they did a really good job of having a non-biased presentation with the pros and cons of moving it. And I just think that it would do our city some justice if it was at Freedom Plaza. It just seems like it's a natural fit there. We do need some art there, and it is probably going to be one of our most important pieces of real estate in the city. And so we should try to figure out a way to add more value to that space, especially when it comes to the arts. And so I think that's just my opinion.
I actually had a chance, like they put in their report, to visit the sculpture with Mr. Chuck Kaplinger, and he gave me a very informative class, I guess you could say, on the sculpture and the location and everything, and what he's planning on doing as far as the restoration of the sculpture, and I thought it was fantastic. And then he did something that really made me think, because he said he wanted to take a picture, and I said that was great because I wanted to take a picture too with the artist. And so we took several pictures, but one of the pictures we tried to take, we actually couldn't take because we couldn't get good footing in front of the sign because of the slope. And so that was kind of a selling point for me, that I think that it would do us justice, and Mr. Chuck justice, if we moved it to Freedom Plaza, because people would get more out of it. And I really do appreciate what you said, Miss Mary Jane, about, the kids and stuff like that. But with the type of restoration that he's going to be doing on it, I think it's going to be protected better. So that's just my thoughts.
Well, I kind of, like Mary Jane, feel outnumbered here, but anyways, I would like to see it stay there and maybe angle it so that when these people are leaving 29 Palms and they see that 29 Palms exclamation point, they see it better as they're going out of town, where they say, oh wow, we look at this here nice thing we can get a picture with. Angle it, and then I don't think we need that big of a parking lot, because when I go by there, and I go by there quite often, I see some people there, I will say that. I did, matter of fact, I had to take my son's truck down to Fiesta Ford, and there was a gentleman there, and he said that when he found out I was from 29 Palms, he said, yeah, I'll be up there probably the end of next week. And I go, for what? And he said, well, I am turning 29, so I'm going to get my picture taken in front of the 29 explanation. So it's out there. People know about it. But I think just leaving it there, it's been there for how long now? We can do ADA compliant with a small parking lot up there for them, put up a pathway to and around it so that they can it's going to be safe for them to walk or their wheelchair. But I would just like to see it. And Mary Jane has a big point. There's going to be kids climbing over that now that it's going to be in Project Phoenix, and you know they're going to do it. Out there, it's kind of visible pretty good, but they're gonna be using it and climbing on it, and I just hope that there's no accidents if you guys decide to move it.
You know, I think you go to a lot of different cities, especially like down the hill, and you go down to Palm Springs, and there's public art in their downtown area on Palm Canyon Drive, and sometimes there are kids climbing over that art, but I don't see it as much of an issue. I don't think it doesn't seem like it destroys the art. It doesn't seem like people are really hurting themselves. I do see potential for people hurting themselves when they're on top of this hill trying to get the perfect shot. I want to respect the Public Arts Advisory Committee, and I also want to respect the artist's wishes. And it seems like both of them are requesting that we move it.
Here's my 29 cents. Yeah. I love the sculpture. I have family pictures by there, daughter's graduation pictures there. I look at that 29 sign as ours, not a tourism attraction. Does it, like the murals? The murals are ours. People come to see the murals. So they drive around town. Some of them not even downtown area. They're farther down. They go see them. People come to climb the mountain, go up down there. I know Ryan's Mountain, when you climb it, there's no ADA appliance there, so you'll never get to see the site on top of that mountain. The 29 sign, it's about the people, and I know the people who live here love that sign where it is. I want to restore it, yes. That money we have for freedom, I want to see new art. I don't want to take old art and put it in a new place. We have the money. Why am I using the money for art at Freedom Plaza and just grabbing something that we already have? Let's make new art. Make it a contest. Put a contest out there. New art at Freedom Plaza. Draw new artists in and make something that can stand at Freedom Plaza they can be happy about. The 29 sign, I want to restore it. Maybe put some ADA improvements. Maybe build it out more so we can take pictures as a slope. We got some smart people in the room. We can figure that out. But there comes a point where we're not a tourist city in this. We have a mountain that draws tourism, but I don't want to be a city that conforms to the tourists, because they're only here for 48 hours and they take their pictures and they leave. We're here every day looking at that sign, and I'm proud of that sign. It's our sign. I sat across the street and I watched 4 people on Sunday, the last 2 Sundays, go to that sign. 2 of them were locals. Go down to Freedom Plaza. There was thousands of people down there going in and out. So the sign is not drawing the people to 29 Palms. It's here when you get here. So that's my take on it. I think we should restore it, improve it, make it accessible for better pictures, because I've slipped off there trying to take pictures of my kid. So I get it. But it's about that being ours. And I just don't want to lose what we got. I don't want to change for the flavor of the month type pictures. All right. That's my stance. That's just how I feel about it. I know I'm not a local, but I'm not as local as it can be without being born at the Naval Hospital or at the hospital in Joshua Tree. But
Desert Regional.
Yeah. So, and then we also have the trailer mounted one that we can post down there until we figure out what art we can put down there, or an idea. Maybe that wall that's there, we can make a mural of the mural, like put it on the wall so it looks like you're standing next to it, like those people have the big butterflies and you stand next to it and you have like butterfly wings. Maybe we can paint the mural of the mural on that wall or something. I don't know. You guys are smarter than me, but you can figure out that art stuff. I draw stick figures, so I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I respect what you're saying. I think that those are really good points. I just want to clarify, my position is not that we're moving the sign for tourism. I see Freedom Plaza as the heart of the city. And so that's one of the reasons why I'd be willing to move it there, not so that it's necessarily a tourist attraction. But I'm also willing to compromise. And I think that, as you said, if we can angle it so that people can see it as they come in and come out of town, and I also think that if we can move it back so that people can step back and take pictures, I think that's something that I'm willing to budge on. And I think that some type of parking there, it doesn't necessarily have to be as big as what we're seeing there, I don't think. But I think it can be fixed.
Well, I'm still with the artist and Mr. Chuck. We had a long conversation, so his recommendation is to move it. But it's a vote, so.
It's a vote. Anyone else, last comments? I know I saw his hand go up.
No, just so, I mean, we are also, if we are able to get a small parking lot. Yeah. Yeah, again, that was just a quick mock-up of what a parking lot could look like. But I mean, if that's a step that you guys are willing to take, we would also take ADA compliance up there as a win, as long as it's accessible. Again, as moving it to Freedom Plaza, again with Councilman Scott, definitely not for the tourists. I also like to think of it as just weaving itself into the actual workable fabric of the community, of kids being able to say, I remember running around the statue during the farmer's market when my mom was talking too long to her friends, or using it as a way of wayfinding to say, you know, when I got lost, my dad told me, wait by the 29 sign, I'll come find you. There are ways that it could be worked into the actual day-to-day use of our community, not just a tourist trap, which is probably more attuned to where it is now, hoping that they'll catch it and then risk their lives climbing up there. But yeah, locals all the way. Thank you.
If you're coming up, I'll need those forms filled out with all the pertinent information. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Robin Schlosser, 29 Palms. Like you, over 29 years in 29 Palms, so I kind of figure I'm a local now. I think that we should leave the 29 symbol where it is. Because when you come into town, that says you're home. You know, you come over Donnell Hill and it sits there and I can go, oh, this is home and this is downtown. You want to highlight not just Freedom Plaza, because those little businesses are that whole stretch of that highway there. And they can come in and they can go, that's here. Like and when they show the pictures of it in Freedom Plaza itself, yeah, it looks nice sitting there on the blocks. But no matter what you do, when you stand back, you look, you're going to have buildings in the background that are going to like wash it out. The murals are going to wash it out. Right there, it stands proudly by itself. And I mean, you look and you see it, and you see sky behind it, and you see the mountains behind it. But the 29 Palms is what stands out there. And we can adapt it there where it is. We can put a parking lot, you can put steps, you can do a landing, whatever you need to do to make it ADA accessible. But please leave it there, because like I said, that's the welcome home sign there. And that's where it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget that slip. Come on up.
So I just, on a stump, PAAC chair, I just want to clarify that the $92,000 for the parking lot, it was a 6-car parking lot. That was from the city engineer. That did not include the ADA accessibility around the sculpture. It did not include road improvements, which would probably have to be kicked in also. So as long as you guys have the budget, great, but it's going to be a lot cheaper to move it. I think that's something that we should think about when you're talking about taxpayer money. And if you want to have other artwork that goes into the plaza, that also costs money. So it's going to be quite an expensive thing to get that hill in compliance. So anyway.
Oh, we can't do it anymore, huh?
You can, after they're done.
Yeah, hey, Council. Jonathan Hume, resident of Desert Heights, sphere of influence. You know, I think both sides are right here. As much as the sculpture is unique and precious, hey, I've talked to Chuck before, and I'll bet he would, I'll bet the city could commission a second one. There's no reason it can't be in both places. You won't do that? Huh? All right, well, forget it then. It's up to you. You guys flip a coin. I don't know.
Make sure we get a slip from you, sir. He has, oh, just add his name on there? Oh. Okay. Back up here.
This is tough. I mean, it is a community. You know, the community feels a sense of ownership over this sculpture. But I'm still kind of leaning towards the artist, and I think that the artist is. I mean, it's his sculpture. He designed it, and he wants it moved, and so I'm conflicted there.
I'm not. No, I got the picture to prove it.
We done? All right. We got more. One.
I just want to add something. I think it is as important to welcome visitors coming into 29 Palms than saying goodbye to them. I think that the 29 Palms is not attacked by visitors as Joshua Tree or other cities. I think that we still have a lot of room between being submerged by visitors so I believe that this sculpture should be a welcome item, not a goodbye item. I think that it is positioned. I drive by this status. I'm not a local since over 29 years, but I've been here for close to 25 years. Not permanently. I've driven by this status, and each time when I look at it, driving west, I almost have an accident when I look at it too closely, when there's no sun, hitting me from that side. That's, it is not an easy place where to make a left. When you notice that status and you want to make a right or a left to park, it's not an easy. Freedom Plaza, there's been a lot of money spent on building the best parking lot across the high desert. It's lit. It is meant to welcome people. I have spent the last 550 days watching Freedom Plaza from my store every day, 7 days a week, and I'm sure that it will not cause any riots or having kids running around it. I think it will embellish that space, which, as Councilman Scott said, is 29 Palms' most important real estate, the Freedom Plaza Community Center, and whatever development will be around it. That's what I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Come on up. After that, Miss Mary Jane, then we're going to close it.
Okay.
We're getting around circles.
I did talk to Chuck as well, and Chuck is willing to design another sign, and his favorite design is this. So I can leave that.
That would look awesome at Freedom Plaza.
That was actually not where he was
I know.
looking for.
He talked to me too.
So this is the sign that Chuck thought would be better on the hill.
On the hill, yes, on the hill. Not
On the hill,
Plaza,
not
on the
in
hill.
Freedom Plaza.
Instead of the,
So I'd be glad to bring it up here.
Just real quick, I agree with Pat. When I was on the mural committee many years ago, it was about public art and art in public places. that was something that we were already working on. And we had lots of good ideas about park benches, you know, in the business communities with, you know, sometimes when you go places, they have statues sitting on a park bench or something. Anyway, so I agree, moving something like that to, you know, some art to Freedom Plaza is a great idea, but have you guys considered a fountain? You know, when you go to plazas, there's always a beautiful fountain in a plaza. So that also would be an attraction where people can also get their pictures taken. Thank you. There's other things we can do besides moving the 29 Palm sign.
Yeah, but.
Thank you. We have the water issue. All right, we're closing the public. Back up here for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that to allow the Public Arts Advisory Committee to move forward with the restoration of the 29 Palm sign, as well as moving it to Freedom Plaza.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
No.
Mayor Buildering.
It's two-part, though.
It would be a tie vote.
Yeah, we do a separate motion. I say no.
It would be a
But-
tie vote, right?
That's what I'm saying, but if I say yes, I'm saying yes to both. No.
So then,
But the,
Yes on restoration, no on the move.
so maybe what then,
So do it at separate, okay.
so then that would be a no vote, the motion would fail, then
Yes.
we'd need to make a second motion, which would maybe just have the first part of it.
The restoration?
Yes, sir. Yep, the restoration, have a vote on that, and then if there wants to be further discussion in terms of maybe taking a closer look at that site, is there an opportunity to make it safer by moving it back a little bit on that site? Really analyze the true cost of improving the facilities there, and then take that back to council and see if the council is interested in making that investment?
I make a motion that we move forward with giving staff direction to move forward with the restoration and what's the word I'm looking for? The development of that Donnell Hill for the 29 Palm sign.
The planning, the planning to understand the true costs and the scope?
Yeah, the planning.
Very good,
Yes.
thank you.
Plan.
second.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 4-0-1.
Now you want to make we're not going to do the other one then?
I-
Because
I-
you covered it, right?
Yes, sir.
Want to
You
make
did.
sure we don't close this out and then we don't have to go backwards. All right, moving on. We got half smiles and half frowns. All right, so we're doing good. All right, we're going to move on to 17. We're not done yet.
So, it is.
I wasn't going to start without you. I knew you were coming. Okay, so good evening, Mayor and council members. Staff is recommending that the City Council approve the updated sample of the city's current policy on waiving fees. So, the purpose of the fee waiver policy update, I'll wait until Cindy pulls that page up. Okay, here we go, is to establish fiscally responsible guidelines to equitably evaluate and consider fee waiver requests for one-time events or temporary uses of city facilities, and to ensure the effectiveness to the extent that a fee waiver can be considered without negatively impacting the city's budget or current operations. So the sample policy has been updated to include additional information that was requested at the previous city council meeting. The sample policy is effective, like I said, to the extent that a fee waiver can be considered without negatively impacting the city's recreation department's budget or current operations. So the City Parks and Recreation Department recognizes the value of working with and supporting organizations to provide services and programs that benefit the community. We strive to be an exceptional steward over city facilities, parks, and funding for programs and services. Charging fees is a standard practice in the parks and recreation industry, where individuals, private groups, government, or nonprofits wish to reserve and exclusively utilize public facilities. The collection of fees charged for programs and facility rentals help recapture some of the cost of providing such services and for maintaining these facilities. Although we recognize the benefits that each organization brings to our community, there are costs associated with the use of public facilities. So we can break this down section by section. We'll just discuss them one at a time. So the City Council of the City of 29 Palms adopts the following policy on the waiving of fees for facility rentals, page 1, subject A, qualified applicants. So the only thing that I added was section number 4, and this is city partnership programs or organizations. And I added that to reflect the partnership that the city has with organizations such as the Disabled American Veterans and Pacific Clinics. Those are organizations that use our facilities once per week to provide services to the community. It also would include the Morongo Unified School District, as we have a shared use agreement with them. So that's the update on the first page for number 4. Any questions on that one? Okay. Try to get through this quick because I know we have a lot more going on. Okay, next section. Section B, I added number 3. The activity does not duplicate or conflict with an existing program or activity. This is pretty much self-explanatory. I added it to ensure that there's no competition or duplication of services. Okay. Section C, procedure. So their strike-throughs are words that are recommended for removal just to update the language. And then, as previously mentioned, I recommend that number 2 be completely removed. That is actually, it's kind of redundant to have that item listed there. Okay. All right, moving on to section D. Again, strike-throughs represent removal of those specific words in order to provide a clear and concise description. Number 4, added by written request to the Recreation Division Manager, and that's because I'm the one that actually has to approve or deny all of the facility rental applications that come through our department. Section E, so this section has been revised to offer a more detailed explanation of the restrictions on waivers for facility rental fees. So this was not included in the original sample that I provided to you. So if you'd like, I could read through them each individually, or we can just kind of look at them. It's entirely up to you.
I read it.
Okay, you good? Okay. Section F has been added to provide information pertaining to rentals that are not eligible for fee waivers. I'll read through these ones. There are quite a few. This is an addition from the previous sample as well. So ineligible fee waivers, organizations based outside of the City of 29 Palms, unless they demonstrate benefits, are primarily for the residents of 29 Palms. Number 2, activities primarily of a fundraising or charitable nature, unless the funds directly benefit city-owned facilities or programs. Number 3, events or activities that are not open to the public. Continued, number 4, events that are political in nature or by individuals seeking political office or elected officials for the purpose of an election campaign. So this one I added specifically because it's a standard practice that is followed by other municipalities, and I strongly advise not to waive fees for any political purpose. It could kind of get us into some trouble. And then number 5, commercial for-profit organizations or corporate events. And number 6, trainings that charge for participation. Number 7, on the next page, family or social gatherings, weddings, birthdays, parties, events held at the Lucky Park Pool. Due to the high cost of staffing for that particular facility, we have to have a minimum of 4 lifeguards on deck. And number 9, events that would conflict with previously planned City of 29 Palms community events. 2 more. Number 10, projects or organizations who have failed to fulfill their obligations during previous events or activities for which facility rental fees were waived or reduced. And number 11, gap days, storing or setting up of any items intended for the organization's event are to be considered as a rental day. So moving on to the facility rental rates slide. I inserted this slide to provide the City Council with a visual understanding of the facility rental fees for each of our reservable facilities. The most expensive facility that anybody would rent would be the gymnasium, and that is listed at the top of the page. Let's see. I'll give you a brief example. So if somebody, a nonprofit organization or a resident, were to rent a facility for 6 hours, let's say Lucky Park Activity Center, Patriotic Hall, or the Senior Center, their total would be $302, and they would receive $140 of that back as a refundable cleaning and damage deposit. So our fees are pretty reasonable, I would say, for our community. And then previously discussed was a rental fee credit. So an annual rental credit was discussed previously, and I just kind of wanted to show you what that would look like on paper. So the reason being is each facility doesn't have the same rental fee. So if we provided a $500 rental credit per organization annually, and let's just say they wanted to rent 4 of our facilities for, let's just say 4 hours, because typically it's a 2-hour minimum for setup and breakdown, and then 2 hours for their event, they would have a balance due. And some of the nonprofit organizations don't budget for, you know, I guess you could say expenses that they weren't expecting to pay. So my recommendation is not to offer the rental free credit. I think it would be a streamlined process if we just pick a day or 2 per calendar year. That's just a suggestion. And then I also added Freedom Plaza Community Center. Next slide. So this is just for reference. I've included this budget for the community center gymnasium because this facility is by far the most expensive to operate. And this is due to having a staff member present 5 days a week for 5 hours per day for open gym programming. And if you take a look at the electricity alone for fiscal year 22-23, was over $62,000. And that equates to about $5,200 per month just for electricity. So we need to recapture some of our operating expenses. Each facility does cost money for the city to operate. So my recommendations are that the City Council place a maximum cap on the total amount of days within a calendar year that qualified organizations are able to rent city facilities without paying a rental fee. And then if multiple rental days are approved, consecutive rental days should be allowed. It just makes our lives a lot easier for the scheduling within the reservation system, all that good stuff. And also recommend not to offer the annual dollar amount or rental free credit, like I said, because it could put an expense on a nonprofit organization that they weren't aware of. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I could see though, I could see either or, like, either way they could have that expense. In the presentation, you use $500, and so there's obviously going to be an expense because that's not a large credit. But if we did a credit that is like $2,000 annually or $3,000 annually, I couldn't see a nonprofit coming out excessively. And so I think it's a lot of cities do that, and I think it's sufficient.
So you're saying every person, every nonprofit would be given a $2,000 or $3,000 credit? Then we wouldn't even get any fees we wouldn't get any income from. If we're waiving the fees already, why would we? I mean, with the credit, why would we need to give them a credit too?
Not in addition. I'm not saying in addition. I'm saying that because it's either or.
You're saying in lieu of.
In lieu
Yes,
of.
either
Oh, so in other words, take out there's no waiver of fees. We just give every nonprofit a $2,000 or $3,000 credit.
Yeah, it's common. It's common with cities.
If I may, sorry, only because I've been doing this for a while. So if I can put it in perspective, so let's just say if you give an organization $2,000 rental credit, we have several nonprofit organizations within the community. I'll just read off a couple of those. So we have Seroptimus, Milltree, 29 Palms Interact, Sky's the Limit, Girl Scout, 29 Palms Little League, Women Marine Association, Foundation 29, 29 Palms Community Food Pantry. If you allow them a credit, that gives them more opportunity to use our facilities for free, and it minimizes the amount of time that the general public would be able to come in and rent fees. Because if it were me, if I were a nonprofit organization and I said, oh wow, I can get $2,000 worth of rentals from the city, I'm going to use the facility every time I can. So it limits the general public being able to use those facilities.
No, I understand that, but my point is this: if we don't do it that way, and we just go by the number of days, we know that not all of our facilities cost the same. And so, if I was a nonprofit, I would go get the most bang for my buck every time under that theory. I would use Freedom Plaza because I know I'm going to get the most money out of it.
Makes sense.
But it also, what she's also trying to say is it also limit, if every one of them used Freedom Plaza, that would limit the number of other events we can have there.
Exactly. And so if we did it by doing the credit, if I'm a nonprofit, I might go use Patriotic Hall at this for this event. I'm not going to necessarily want to go use Freedom Plaza all the time because there's no reward for me to do that.
So could we not do this with that rental, that the $2,000 he's talking about? Have 2 days of rental free, and then if they want to do any other after that, they can have this rental credit on the books to pay for ones that are coming up. If they wanted to go,
So they would be getting both. So you would be giving them 2 days free per calendar year, and on top of that, they also get a rental credit.
oh no,
Is that
they'd
what
have
you're
to pay
saying?
they'd have to have an account, like say $500. So say down the way, and this is a way of them saving the money, so they have to fork it out. Say they do their 2 days for free. They have $500 on account. Now they're going to pay, just like anybody else, if that's the way they want to do it. You know what I mean?
I do, but I think it's kind of double dipping also.
Yeah, because we would be giving them 2 free days, and then we're giving them the $500 that we're not going to get back. It's not
the free days.
The free days. No, the free days is one thing, but if we give them a $500 credit, that's just another free day for us. That we're giving them 3 days instead of.
They're gonna pay $500 into an account, and then if they want to use, say, if they want to use the gym and it's $566, then they would owe $66 more. They would still have to pay for that gym at that price. You know what I mean?
So I think what she's talking about with the credit is one or the other. We give them the 2 days a year, or we give them a credit.
Yes, either or, not both.
And we haven't decided
and then
what the
after
credit
that,
is.
Then they have to
Right.
pay for another day if they want another day.
Yeah, so my
Which would be the same
recommendation
thing.
is to either
But they would have to pay for it.
give them a certain amount of days per calendar year, 1, 2, 3, whatever you decide, or the dollar credit. That's my recommendation.
Okay. Well, I would say just have the 2 days then. Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused on that a little bit.
That can be confusing.
Is that right?
That would still be when we'd be giving. That's from the earlier.
That's for the 16th.
Hey, good evening again, Council. I'm Jonathan Hume. I'm also, besides being a resident, a staff writer for the Desert Trumpet, which is a fiscally sponsored nonprofit organization that seeks to increase political engagement and encourage a participatory political process by reporting on city government here in 29. And I'm speaking today on behalf of the Desert Trumpet. The Desert Trumpet agrees with most of what Parks and Recreation is recommending today on this item. However, we suggest 3 important modifications. Number 1, Under section 4F, it's written so broadly that any kind of political thing, including a nonpartisan candidate forum, would be seemingly not allowed for a fee waiver. And under that section, it looks like they would not be granted a fee waiver. We ask that council allow fee waivers for public city council candidate forums in which all candidates are invited to participate and which are organized and moderated by an impartial third party. Candidate forums provide an obvious and crucial community benefit. The Desert Trumpet currently has September 14th reserved for just such a city council candidate forum open to all candidates. Number 2, clearly limit the fee waivers to nonprofits only. We feel the section on the types of organizations qualifying for fee waivers can be more strongly worded. Fee waivers should be limited to 501c3 nonprofits, including nonprofits operating under a fiscal receiver, period. Stating this unequivocally eliminates the need for several of the provisions listed under ineligible fee waivers. And finally, number 3, don't cap yet. The existing policy, as we know, dates from 1989, and it didn't have any cap on days for fee waivers for nonprofit or organizations. And how do we know that that's not workable? As long as all the other restrictions described in the staff recommendations are adhered to, that very well may be workable. Since Parks and Rec has not been operating under this old policy for several years at least, we really don't know whether it works or not. So we suggest leaving the policy in place for the remainder of 2024 as a trial period, then in 2025 reevaluating the need for a cap. If an organization abuses the policy with an unreasonable number of facility rentals, only then would a cap be justified. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Is that it from the public? All right, back up here.
A couple things there. I disagree with the statement of allowing it to allowing our facilities to be used for candidate forums. I think that's something that could actually put the city at liability. But there's a lot of sorry.
I said maybe since Patrick's here, he could.
Mr. City Attorney.
Yeah, you do really risk what's called the Stanton versus Mott problem. Stanton versus Mott is kind of the case that talks about not being able to expend public funds for advocating any political position. You would put staff in a really difficult position, having to always evaluate any sort of a political activity that's occurring in a public facility where you're giving a fee waiver. So I think you're much safer because of the significant liability that would exist if you violated the Stanton versus Mott rule to not allow fee waivers in any instance where it's a political activity.
Thank you very much. I did appreciate the no cap thing. If it's been working, it's been working, and I just want to make sure that my main thing is I just want to make sure that everyone's being treated fairly and equally. If some nonprofits are getting more days than other nonprofits, that's an issue, and it's not fair to people out there that are doing the work, doing real solid work for our community. And so, I'm okay with not a cap, but I don't know how my colleagues feel.
Well, first, I appreciate that, Patrick. You put that in MAC language. So appreciate it. But
I was told less words.
Yeah. But I think we should have a cap because of the possibility of some organizations taking advantage of that. Not saying that they would or wouldn't, but just eliminate the idea, and then plus we'll be right back where the reason we are here in the first place, because some organization will be coming to us. So I think we do need a cap.
I agree, Councilman Wright, and I think the 2 days, I mean, before, I think 2 days is fine. I mean, they can plan it out. There's other places in town that were actually trying to make their places available for events, and, you know, we don't want to, like, take away business from them just to give it away for free. So, I'm okay with doing a 2 day cap but with no rental credit. Because they're getting it 2 days, but they still got to pay the employee costs and things like that. So they'll have to plan a good event. You know, if they're going to have it at one of our facilities, just make sure it's a good event.
Sure. I'm okay with not doing the rental credit, but I would ask that we do 3 days, and it's very important that we do those 3 days because we've set a precedent. We've allowed organizations to have 3 days. And I think we need to be fair and just go ahead and do the 3 days. And we can revisit it if it's costing the city excessive in the future. But we've set a precedent, 3 days.
Well, if you took off the rental credit, so I can live with the 3 days. I can live with the 3 days.
Thank you.
Well, Kerry, there was one more. I wrote it down, but now I can't read my writing. What did I mean to write? Oh gosh, wasn't there something else? I don't even know what I wrote now. But those are my two main items: the maximum day of rental and then the no credit.
I'm not going to be a dead horse. Let's go to motion.
Well, I'll make the motion that we take staff's recommendation for the city waiver policy they wanted the date 3 maximum days and just strike the no rental credit.
And that's not consecutive, right?
My recommendation was whenever. Yeah, so
Right,
it can
yeah.
be consecutive.
It can be
Or it
consecutive,
can be
or it can be
consecutive.
3 days.
Or
Yes.
whenever.
Either way, yeah.
I'll second.
That was the only 2 recommendations that you had? Maybe.
So my recommendations were, let me go back to my page, sorry. Last page.
No rental.
That you place a maximum cap on the total amount of days, which you've already done, within a calendar year that qualified organizations are able to rent the city facilities. If multiple rental days are approved, consecutive rental days should be allowed.
Oh, that's what I wrote, consecutive.
Okay.
That's what I
All
just
right.
scribbled it.
And then, yes, my other recommendation was not to offer the dollar
Right,
amount or
that's,
rental fee.
and that's
credit.
my motion.
And I have one more thing that, because we do want to be mindful of the city's expenses as well. One of our residents did make a good point. What if we just limit it to 501c3s? If people are doing charitable, it just seemed very broad. If we can go back to that page, I don't know, the page of that stated how many.
Aren't all those organizations?
So this is based off of the 1989 policy. So private nonprofit organizations, 501c3, public or private charitable organizations. Not all are 501c3. They might fall under a different category. Other public service agencies such as utility companies, those that provide service for like delivering electrical, water, things of that nature, MUSD, schools, FEMA, and so on, and then city partnership programs or organizations.
Yeah. I think they narrowed it down, in my opinion. I'm okay with the way they narrowed it down. And like you say, we can revisit this if it goes awry, then we can revisit it. So.
And historically, these are the organizations that we've been renting to for the past 2.5 decades. So.
Yeah, and if it's an unusual one, you'll bring it to us
Absolutely.
anyway, right?
Right.
Yes.
So my motion stands in.
And my second.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink?
Aye.
Mayor Bildering?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 18, Public Arts Advisory Appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'd like to introduce Anna Stump, who is the chair of the Public Arts Advisory Committee.
Thank you. We would like to recommend Zareen Eskander to take the place of Kat Talley-Jones, who had to leave the PAC, and she would like to come up and just give a very short statement, if that's okay with you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm generally not used to just talking about myself, but I thought this might be appropriate to give a thorough introduction once and for all. By the end of summer, I will have my doctorate in technology from UC Santa Barbara. I also hold an MFA from UCLA. The past 24 years, I've worked in many fields of design, automotive, yacht, architecture, graphic design. In the past 15 years, I've been working as a brand strategist in technology, working in NFTs and blockchain as early as 2016. In spring 2018, I launched an AI company in Tokyo, which the pandemic put to an end, and I decided to retire to the desert. I was kidding, no one can retire these days. I'm working for a software company now. I am foremost a practicing artist. I work in photography and video, and the desert has always been my inspiration. In my creative career, I've pioneered a few things that have been lauded and forgotten. My photography, films, and sculptural work have been published, awarded, shown at museums around the world, and also forgotten. I am now happy to be where I call my desert, and I'm delighted to serve my community of 29 Palms. That's it.
Thank you.
Can you say your name one more time?
Zareen Eskander.
All right.
And I'm of Iranian descent, if anyone is curious.
It's going to take me a while to get that right.
That's okay. I respond to anything remotely close.
She's the one that reimagined my flag.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that opportunity. That was really fun practice.
Nice.
All right.
Let's find some art from Freedom Plaza now. Too soon? Too soon? Sorry. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we appoint
Okay, go for it, Matt.
Zyrene. Is that an X has a Z sound?
Xander.
Right? Okay. Zyrene as a standing member of the Public Arts Advisory Committee.
Second.
Councilmember Mintz,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klink,
Aye.
Mayor Bildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
All right, here we go. Number 19. It'll be quick. I know she will, because
I'll try to be brief,
Frank's
I
not running it,
promise.
so it'll be quicker.
Yeah, right. It's not a slide.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Bildering, members of this council. Tonight in front of you is a preliminary general fund budget revisions for fiscal year 24-25. Next slide, please. The budget revisions presented today are only for initial review. No approvals are needed at this time. A public hearing would be scheduled on May 28 for the approval and adoption of this general fund budget. And then the special funds and Project Phoenix funds revisions are going to be presented on the June 11th meeting for final approval. Next slide, please. So for some background, this is the second year of the two-year budget that was adopted on May 23rd of last year. The two-year budget was prepared using the information available to us at that time. And as we get closer to the new fiscal year, we have more up-to-date information and therefore more accurate projections for the fiscal year 24-25 budget. The city's revenue revisions for property tax were updated using the latest estimates from the San Bernardino County tax collector. For sales tax, we used the latest forecast from HDL, and for TOT and building permit revenues, we used the latest local trends. For preliminary expenditures, we updated this budget using historical spending by department with input and review by department heads, directions from City Council Budget Committee, which we actually met last week, and we did a more detailed review of this budget revision, so I won't take a whole hour today, I promise. And we also took some of the council strategic planning priorities, which were approved last year. And some of those priorities include the animal shelter and animal control rehab, in addition to, and adding the sheriff detective, and that was added in fiscal year last year, actually this current fiscal year, 23-24. We're currently working on the ballfield lights projects at ballfield lights project at Lackey Park. We also created a housing and homeless advisory committee, and we added additional funding for community events. Some of the things that we're not going to be undertaking are the debt financing. We were originally going to take a loan from iBank for the ballfield lights project, but we're not doing that anymore, so we're going to disregard that. And we're going to have another strategic planning in January, so that's going to be for the upcoming two-year budget. But so those are some of the things that we took into account when we were preparing for this budget. Next slide, please. Next slide. Here we have a side-by-side comparison of the adopted budget versus the proposed budget. I'm happy to report that we are projecting a balanced budget with a surplus of approximately $160,000. That's the great news. Next slide. Our Tab 6 revenues continue to be property taxes, vehicle license fee in lieu of property tax, sales tax, TOT, and franchise fees, and as well as building and road permits. As I mentioned last year when we did the two-year budget, we didn't have good estimates. Now we do, and we have we're proposing an adjustment of $294,000 for the vehicle license in lieu of property tax. So that's a great adjustment there. For TOT, we're a little bit more conservative due to the current condition in the market. It's very unpredictable, so I just wanted to be conservative in that area, and I didn't make any increases to our TOT revenue. Next slide, please. Here, this chart just reflects the, what are the percentages per our revenues, and our top 6 revenues combined. They make up 88% of our total revenues, so that's a big percentage there. Moving on to our expenditures. I didn't make that many revisions for our expenditures, only in the non-departmental section where there's a change of almost 16%, and that's mainly because we during the budget committee, it was requested that we transfer $250,000 to our capital projects fund for the animal control shelter project. So those are just, to add a little funding for that project if we need it in the future. For community development, we had unspent funds for some of the projects that are that were approved by the Housing and Homeless Committee. So, rather than not using them in fiscal year 23-24, I moved them to this upcoming fiscal year, just for future use. For a public works admin and street sweeping department, with the reduction of, it's not really a reduction, it's just our gas tax revenue has been stagnant, so it's not. And then Article 8 funding, we're not receiving that anymore. So we have to absorb, some of those salaries and benefits that were previously paid by gas tax and Article 8. So that we're just going to continue to see, we're just going to continue to absorb those salaries and benefits that are not going to be funded with gas tax or gas tax funding. Next slide. And this table just shows our expenditures by type. Law enforcement services are, are one of our largest expenditures, almost 42%. Salaries and benefits, 28%. So those are the top 2 largest expenditures that the city has. Next slide. And this chart just shows the past 7 years of our law enforcement contract services. As you can see, it has been increasing quite significantly. Last year we had almost 14% increase, and that was mainly due to the addition of that new detective, which was about $366,000, plus the sheriff's department also had an increase of about 8 to 9% for their salaries and benefits. So that that was a big chunk of that 14%. This year we're only looking at about 3.5%, so that's not too bad. That's still in line with expectations. And then for this budget, we're including a 4.3% COLA, and that's based on the 12-month percentage from March of each year, and we've been using that same index for the past years. So again, that's already calculated into the wages for this for fiscal year 24-25. And a little bit of more good news. Our operating reserves are ranging at, or are projected to be 78% for fiscal year 24-25, which is in line with our city's reserve policy, which is 50 to 55%. Next slide. And just some items that are not included in the budget. So on April 23rd, the California Air Resources Board adopted the Advanced Clear Fleets Regulation to accelerate zero emissions truck markets. Basically, what that says is that any state and local government agencies that own, lease, or operate in California one or more vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 85 pounds, the city must comply with these requirements. And beginning in 2024, the city must ensure that 50% of the annual vehicle purchases per calendar year are zero emissions. And by 2027, all vehicle purchases have to be zero emissions, as long as they're over 8,500 pounds. The city, we haven't determined the fiscal impact for this regulation, so that's still more to come on that. Next slide. So in this preliminary budget, we included a 4.3% COLA on all the wages, and a 4.3 increase on the city fees as well. And like I mentioned, we're going to continue to absorb public work wages and benefits that are not going to be funded with gas tax if the source continues to decline. And as I mentioned earlier, we are assigning $250,000 for the animal control shelter for future use. Any questions?
I have one question. When you wrote in there about the street sweeper, does Burtech still give us money?
Yes.
They do? Okay.
They do, $120,000
$120,000, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any questions up here? We're done? Any? None? Public? Okay, back up here.
Again, there's no
There's just a review,
action,
right?
just
We have the
review.
next one,
Any
28th?
questions? Yeah, next, on the 28th, you'll have a chance to approve the wage scale as well as the resolution for the adoption.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Future council initiated items. 1, revisit funds allocated to the portable showers and navigation center. We already talked about that. All right. Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council. What? We good? No. On issues with jurisdiction of the city council that is not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional courteous decorum during their comments. There's a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the name and address slips and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from talking or taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. Ms. Lawson? She left? She left. And I could probably tell you what it's about. We all know, let's look into that again. Is that it? No one else? Everyone's smiling? Everyone's happy? All right, here comes the long part. City manager's update.
Thank you very much. Now would be a good time if you wanted to get any coffee. Yeah. So I actually have a few things here. So really, it's been wonderful to be a part of the community. This is my third week. It's been an absolutely great experience so far. I found the staff, really these first 2 weeks I've been focused on getting to know the staff. And I found the staff really hardworking, dedicated, and individuals with high integrity. In fact, some staff members are so committed to the mission of the city that they have personally donated time, materials, and financial resources to help ensure quality program outcomes. And so one of the things also that I hope as the city manager that I can begin to bring to the council's awareness and the community's awareness is the volume and the quality of the work being performed. So these savings are as a result of the city council's support of staff, but also they are a function of the staff's hard work, the resourcefulness, and the creativity. Commissions and boards, I look forward to working more closely with the various commissions and boards. Brianne, who unfortunately I think already stepped out, and the 29 Palms Tourism Business Improvement District are playing a vital role in helping elevate our community on a regional, national, and even international basis. Just this last Friday, Brianne and her team, they hosted a lunch over at the 29 Palms Inn, and they hosted international tourism journalists from Austria, from China. I think there was someone from France. There was a few other countries that I missed at the 29 Palms Inn talking about all what our community offers. It was a great event. And so really special thanks to the board, Rakesh and Heidi, and the rest of the members of that TBID board for doing that. Looking forward certainly to working with council. I've had the pleasure to interact with, go on some land tours with some of you. Look forward to doing that with the rest of you here in the coming weeks. And also, as staff, we've begun to identify and address some of the concerns that have been raised just in the last 2 weeks. And of course, as you've seen by tonight, we continue to work on addressing those goals that were established at the last strategic planning session. Then also, I look forward to working with the community and strengthening our relationship with the various partner agencies and organizations. Matt Stragg from the 29 Palms Water District, the general manager, and Captain Robert Warwick from the SBSO, they've been incredible. They've rolled out the red carpet. We've already identified ways to collaborate on different important items. Mr. Schrag and I are working on figuring out how to best address the USGS study that we've kicked that off, and also the STALT nutrient management plan. And then Captain Warwick has been fantastic in addressing needs and also talking about some strategic planning. So hopefully that didn't require coffee, but
I told her to set it.
He did.
yeah, just in case. So thank you so much. It's wonderful to be a part of this team and to help lead the team. Looking forward to fantastic things. And so then with that, I'd like to move on just to one other thing, and that was council member had brought a resolution opposing the Taxpayer Protection and Government Accountability Act. And so maybe that's something that we can address during the next council meeting, is what other cities have done, and is that something that our council would like to take a position on, either in opposition to or support of. But other than that, that is all that I have to report.
That's it. Thank you. Everyone, thank you for coming out. I know you're all busy, but thank you for coming out and doing your thing. It's May. It's getting hot. Drink water. See you all at the next meetings. Meetings adjourned.
That was good.